Thank you for tuning in to SANGAHZ The Podcast with me, Romeo Johnson, where we celebrate extraordinary singers and learn from industry veterans. Have you ever known someone who's super talented, but for some reason they just couldn't seem to hold on to gigs, or you wonder why they weren't working quite as much as they should be, or you just couldn't understand why their talents was so excellent, yet they were kind of limited to the amount of gigs that they gotten? And then you know other people who are excellent and they work all the time, or you know some people who are just pretty good, but they work all the time. Today we're going to be talking about the secrets to keeping you relevant, consistently working. And we're going to also talk about how sometimes even when you're doing the right thing, some things still may not work out. I'm going to be talking to someone today who has put quite a few years in this industry. Although she's still young, she's learned quite a bit, and she's willing to share a whole bunch of great things pertaining to longevity in this industry, the do's and the don'ts, the ups and the downs, the good, bad, and the ugly. Please welcome Sharon Youngblood. Thank you so much for doing this, taking the time. I know you're busy. What is 360 Creative?
Yeah, the 360 Creative. So it's my company. It's something that I feel like birthed out of this organic need and desire to share what I've learned.
We're going to definitely talk about that. Yeah. Where are you from originally? I've been knowing you since you were young, but I want everyone to know where this all started from. You know, your whole family. I love your whole family. So
and they love you too.
Oh, awesome. Tell everyone about the young Sharon.
So young Sharon is from San Diego, California, and I lived there until middle school.
Okay.
And then we moved to LA and started the whirlwind of that life. But it started in San Diego originally, and my family was in the music business before I was.
Okay.
They were on the management side, and they used to put together like big shows and stuff like that for just local artists. And nobody knew I can sing, and neither did I. I had no idea. I was super shy, super duper shy, and introverted. That just was not anything in my wheelhouse. I wanted to be a dancer, actually, which is crazy enough. We went to a performing arts school, and I was in choir just because I like music. But it had nothing to do with me wanting to be a singer. It was a part of our electives because it was like a really big, significant performing arts school in San Diego. So, I just took a choir, but my choir teacher, she just took a liking to me for whatever reason. I still am friends with her to this day.
I love it.
Like, used to sit in the back of the class, say nothing at all. And she's like, one day I was just like, something I hear. So she pulled me up to the front and she made me sing a song. And she was just like, how on earth have you been in my class this whole time? And I had no idea you can sing.
Right.
And so I was like, and she's like, you looked at me with a dead face, like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I just was not in that space. And then she told my mom, and my mom was like, you have to be talking about Tanisha, which you know is my sister.
Who's not shy.
Who's not shy at all. So she was like, you have to be. And my teacher was like, no, I'm talking about Sharon. And then when she heard me sing a solo, she was just like, how? Like, everybody was just so taken aback. That little Sharon, shy Sharon, is the one that is a singer, and it had a big voice. And so after that, it was no choice of mine. It was like, oh, this is what you're going to do. Absolutely.
Do you remember that time?
Yeah. Oh,
you do? What do you remember feeling when she called you up? Were you like, oh my goodness? Or you like, all right, whatever, I'm down?
Anxiety. I don't naturally, I'm an introvert. So I don't care for attention. I could be in the background forever. Like that is my comfort zone. So for me, I was just like, what is this lady doing and why?
Yeah. So obviously she heard something great through the anxiety and the freaking out and everything. You still sounded good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Which is crazy to me.
Right.
But yes, I think when you now, 20 plus years later, and being a teacher myself, I can see how that happens, right? Because your ear is tuned into the voice, and you know what sounds good, and not even just what sounds good, but there's a resonance, or if there's a tone, or there can be so many things, right?
Absolutely.
And your ear starts to tune in to be like, oh wait, what's going on there? And so that's what she did.
Absolutely.
She helped develop that into what I am now.
And this was in San Diego before you came to LA.
Before I came to LA.
So you said you were like in middle school when you came to LA. So how old were you when this happened?
No, I was in middle school I was in middle school in San Diego when we moved to LA right after middle school. So I started high school here.
Got you. Got you. So what did your mom think once she got past you talking about Sharon?
I think, not even I think, it's a very unlikely story. Like most parents are like, no, you need to go to school and do all that. They were very much the opposite. Like, no,
Same
you're
with
going to
mine.
be a star and that's what we're going to do,
I
And
loved it.
so they became the momagers and my stepfather at the time, he was involved as well. And
Hmm.
so, and I hated it, to be honest,
Really?
hated it. Yes, because
Why is that? Just because you were shy?
yeah, my mind was not there, also
Hmm.
navigating like, my stepfather wasn't, the nicest, right? So it was a rough
Hmm.
upbringing. And so I
Okay.
was navigating, trying to like find my way in just life.
Got you.
But then now adding this, now trying to be a singer and everything, I'm like, I'm not really thinking about that. And then
Right.
I was like, thicker than the kids that are my age, especially as far as like being an artist. So like
Hmm.
at the time, the people who were popular were like Monica and Brandy, who were
Right.
like stick figures. And
Yes.
I'm just this, thick girl who is 13 looking like a grown woman.
Hmm.
And so then I had to navigate that,
Right.
being in the industry and just being like, oh my goodness, like you're
Hmm.
black, number one. You have a big voice and you're thick. So it's kind of like, it was extreme diets and it was like always comparing me to other artists that were the same thing. And I've always loved music, but I've always loved like every style of music. I've never
Right.
been an R&B person.
Right.
So what I like to listen to was like 80s pop music, like Journey and Tears for Fears, and like that was my lane, right? But they wanted me to be an R&B singer, and I'm
Oh.
like, I don't like this. I don't
Right.
want to do this.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was a long journey to find like the love of
Hmm.
singing and doing
Took
music.
time to fall on track, right?
Yeah, it was a while. It took a while because at first it was just like a machine.
Yeah. I'm glad we're talking because a lot of my mentees are young female artists.
Really?
And I explained to them it's a whole other element that you guys got to worry about that a lot of male singers don't.
Yes, for sure.
Going into this business, it's a lot that you guys have to deal with. And especially if you're attractive as well, like you said, if you are mature or if you're built, more mature, there's
Differently,
other
yeah.
things you got to deal with. A lot of people are going to hone in on that and try to see how bad does she want it? What would she do? That's a whole nother
Oh
element. I'm one that just likes to talk about everything that's
my
real. I'm just glad that you're here because I just really think that you're going to bring out a lot to bless a lot of people that I wouldn't necessarily be able to reach. Everybody has their own stories and their own demographic. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, for sure.
I remember meeting you guys, the family. I don't remember what year it was. I remember you and your sister were young. I
Hmm.
remember your mom. And at the time, we were having church services at USC. Do you remember that period of time?
Yeah, was
It
that
was
Church of the Harvest, right? No, was
Church
that
of the
Church of the Harvest?
Harvest, Church of the
Yeah,
Harvest,
yeah,
Bishop
yeah,
McClendon.
yeah.
Yeah. And we were having church services at this theater
Hmm.
temporarily. And I just remember all of you guys were so nice. I was like, what a beautiful family. I thought your mom, you and your sister, I'm like, look, they're so pretty. And then everyone knew that you could sing. And I was like, cool, that's what I do for a living, you know what I'm saying? So I would always focus on young people that could sing. So to watch your growth is just mind blowing to me. I'm super proud.
Thank you.
I knew you were talented, but of course I was doing my thing, so I wasn't able to just keep my eyes on
Of
people
course, yeah.
close. But I do remember, when Meech and I was doing cozies, and then I ended up doing a spot called the Red Square. You remember the Red
Hmm.
Square?
Yes.
You used to come through there, and I was like, oh my God, this girl is going to do something. So it's just beautiful to see. It's not like we're someone who talks every week or keep in
Yeah.
touch like that, but I follow you, and we always support each other, and I've been friends with the family forever. But I just knew when I started to do this podcast, this was all about sharing things sometimes that people don't talk about.
Yeah,
You
of
know what I mean?
course. Yeah.
A lot of people think this industry is one extreme or the other. It's all about, oh, this is so
Mm.
much fun. We make a lot of money. We get to party. We get to put on clothes. Yay. Or it's horrible. It's
Yeah.
drugs and people kill themselves and
Yeah,
murder.
yeah, yeah.
It's one
Very
extreme.
true. Yes.
You know, when I moved from Tennessee to LA, I was blessed to have a lot of people just take me under their
Mhm.
wings. Patrice Rushen and Vesta Williams and Ollie Woodson from the Temptations and Charlie Wilson and Bobby Womack, people that my mom and dad used to listen to. I said, if I'm ever in a position of any influence, I want to be able to share. And
So,
then that was something I love to do, but I'm like, I can't do it like everyone can. So let
mhm.
me create some type of platform. I want to pull all these singers in. I'll be 62 in September, right?
Where? Where is
Yeah.
that at? I don't see it.
My knees, my
What?
hips, and
Crazy.
yep. So I wanted to be able to bless people coming after me the way they blessed me. Well, now I'm at the stage where people who came after me are blessing people.
Yeah. Right,
So,
right.
so that's why I wanted you on here because you're doing it so well.
Yeah.
Okay, you're in LA now. You've already realized now that you can sing. You're in the land of entertainment.
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh man. Well, the launch to come to LA was like a whole family decision, right? At first, we were just kind of coming up here for an event or a conference or
Mm-hmm.
something, right? Or I was getting trained also transitioning from classical music to R&B actually. So the blending of my voice, like it took me a long time to accept the fact that my voice wasn't like typical, I don't know, in a lot of ways, like the running that people do.
Right.
And I feel like there's a certain sound Black women are supposed to kind of
Or
have.
expected to do. Mm-hmm.
And I've always just been a little bit different, which has been an insecurity of mine, right? Because I have been classically, like that was my life for the first like 3 years, 4 years of my life.
Okay.
And then I started to transition. My brother was in acting a lot, and
Okay.
because he was young, but he was acting in commercials and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
they were like, let's just move to LA and see what happens. And so we came here and then really just just involved in everything. Like my stepfather was really connected and he just had a gift of gab, just like my brother. And so they can get into literally any room.
I
And
love
I
it.
just, so
That's a skill.
yeah. So we would get in, he would, just kind of get meetings here, and, meeting record labels and record executives and stuff like that. And that's when I start to really learn, like, kind of like how the game works. There's a lot of people who talk a lot,
Mm-hmm.
promise a lot,
Mm-hmm.
say
Mm-hmm.
they can do all the things, and
Absolutely.
that lead to nothing. And so it was a lot of that. So I was in high school, right? And so then I started doing a bunch of competitions, like on a bunch
Okay.
of singing competitions and stuff like that. And then diving into karaoke. So at the time, karaoke was like the big thing to do,
Oh yeah.
in LA,
Oh
like
yeah.
one of the big things to
Oh
do.
yeah.
And so it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you're a singer, you not only need to be at the live stuff, you need to be at the karaoke spots.
Karaoke
Like I
spots.
met so
Exactly.
many people at the
Mm-hmm.
karaoke
Mm-hmm.
spots. So speaking to community, and
Mm-hmm.
how important it is, like everybody really did take me in as a little sister to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Of
everybody was
course.
really protective. They're like, yes, you can come in. We're going to just,
Mm-hmm.
it's just fun. You're not going to drink. I'm like, no, I'm not going to drink.
Right.
Of course not. But, so it was like I started to meet a bunch of people who became like family to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody kind of took me under their wing. Everybody was just very loving and supportive of me. And yeah, I just started meeting a bunch of people. And then right out of high school, I moved to Japan for like 3 months. Yeah,
Okay. I didn't know
because there
that.
was an opportunity at the Universal Studios. They wanted a gospel group for the Christmas time. So it was
Okay.
six of us. It was me, Mike Anthony, Tracy
Okay.
Brown.
Okay.
I think you know these names, right?
I know Tracy Brown.
Yeah, so Tracy Brown. It was a few, Devonna Sutton. It was so many people that
Mm-hmm.
went. It was like six of us, and that was a whole eye opening thing because I was living in another country for the first time, having all of the anxiety, and so
Freaked you out a little bit.
it was a lot. It was a lot. So that was my first experience, but that definitely was like, okay, amazing, because I'm like, this is another culture. So
Yeah.
did that. Then after that, I was on the TV show. I did O Drama. You remember Kim Whitley had a talk show. This was so long ago. Ricky Smiley had a talk show back in the day on
What was the premise of this show?
I
I
don't
mean,
remember
was it singing
actually.
related or
It was like a talk, like it was. You said it was entertainment related.
was it singing related? Was it
No, so the show wasn't about singing. It was
okay?
just like a talk show, and then he would have
Okay.
a singing segment.
Oh,
And
gotcha,
I
gotcha,
was one of the artists on the singing
gotcha.
segment.
Okay, I see.
And then I did another show called Performing As. So you
Okay.
know how they have The Voice now and American
Hmm.
Idol. Before all of that, it was called Performing As,
Okay.
and he performed as an artist, and
Okay.
I performed as Aretha Franklin.
Okay.
So it was literally only one season of the show, and I
Hmm.
won the show, the whole thing.
Hey now.
Um, and I was what, 19 or something like that,
Hmm.
20 maybe.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was super, super young. So then I won that, got a bunch of money, and then
That's good. That's a good
got
thing.
got a signed to a management deal
Hmm.
with this guy named Jerry Greenberg,
Hmm.
and Sony offered me a record deal actually in Europe, which
Hmm.
I actually was really excited about because they are more open
Yes.
culturally to like different people, different
Yeah.
experiences. So you can be black out there singing any kind of music,
That's
right?
right.
But unfortunately, it didn't happen because at the time, my mom was just like, no, like this, it was something about the contract. Like she decided not to go with it, which then, of course, I was bummed about. And then after that, it was just navigating trying to be an artist, like recording songs, writing songs, getting in studios with different producers,
Yeah.
seeing what stuck.
I got two questions for you.
Yeah.
Two things you brought up. First thing I want to figure out, at what point did you get past the shy girl, I ain't really liking this, to, all right, I'm in it. I'm doing it. I'm cool with it. When was
Um,
that and what made that happen?
you know, it, I think for me, it was the affirmation of like so many different people, right?
Yep.
In different rooms,
Yep.
different kinds of people,
That'll
in
do it.
different spaces. And it was just like, everybody was just like so blown away, right?
Yes.
About it. And I'm just like, oh, I
It must
mean,
be something.
right, literally. It's literally that.
Yeah.
And so my confidence just slowly but surely started to just grow more and more.
Yeah.
And then like just
It's a certain feeling that comes from seeing that what you do brings happiness to
it
people.
literally, like
Yeah.
literally, I would be in the club and people would be in tears. Or
Yes.
this one guy was just like, and legit, not exaggerating, but I'll never forget this. He was like, I was going to commit suicide tonight. And
Whoa.
and then I heard you sing. Like literally, that was his line. And I said, I'm sorry, what?
Wow.
And so it's like you can't really hear those type of things and not start to believe, okay, maybe something is there.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
I don't think it was just gift, just talent. Like spiritually, I know that there's more to it. You know what I'm saying? There's an anointing attached to that, which elevates things, of course. Which for me, I think that is probably what maybe gave me more confidence, knowing
Yeah.
that that was undergirding it all. Because I'm like,
Yes.
even as a worship leader, which that was a later thing that I developed into.
Hmm.
Because again, intimidated to even do that. But finding that my lane was my lane and my audience was the people that were just meant for me.
Amen.
And I had to just start to be more bold in that, you know what I mean? And start to
Hmm.
say, okay, clearly what I have, what God has given me is shifting rooms, like shifting spaces. And I don't have a reason why I'm not, it's certainly not me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think for me, it was just a slow process of
Yeah.
just acceptance.
I totally feel you.
Yeah.
I never thought about being a singer. So,
Really?
I never. I know that feeling of being kind of insecure because when I was thrown into the singing world, I'm like, yeah, I know I can sing a little bit. I never focused on it. Like these
Mm-hmm.
people have been studying.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm from Chattanooga and I'm now in LA. So I'm just looking at people. I'm studying,
Mm-hmm.
watching people. I'm thinking, yeah, I got to do some practicing if I'm
Listen,
a, you know what
same.
I'm saying? And then the next person step on stage and I'm like, oh, I can get him. You know, oh, yeah, they clapping for him. Oh, cool. So it was just this battle. You know how you do in your mind, like
1,000%.
you know what I'm saying. So I just kind of gauged the response. Marla Gibbs, you know who Marla Gibbs
Yeah.
is? She had Marla's Memory Lane. It was right on Martin Luther King, and I would go every week and just watch people and just study. And one day I went to this guy and I said, "Hey man, can I sing next week?" And he's like, "What song do you want to sing next week?" I said, "Reasons" by Earth, Wind and Fire. He was like,
Not
"Bro,
ever.
are you sure?" Yeah. Next week I came and sang. Crowd gave me mad response. That was it. That's kind of what started it. So I know what you mean when in throughout my whole career, I've had people give me great compliments, and I've had people go, "Yo, I ain't." I've had people say,
No,
but
really?
yeah, I've had people like, "You cool? I mean, you alright." Or I've heard that people told other people,
Okay,
I don't
got
know
you,
how
got you.
Romeo is getting all these gigs. He can sing, but he
Of
ain't know
course, people
this
are
and he ain't know that.
always going to do that. Oh
But
my
you know
God.
what's funny though, Sharon? I was like, I agree. Like, listen, bro,
I agree.
listen,
Amen.
hey, listen. I feel the same way. I'm alright.
Oh my God.
I'm
Please, you are
good.
definitely exceptional. You're
You know what
definitely
I'm
not
saying?
all right.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.
Stop.
The beautiful thing is, and I think it's what you're talking about, is when you find out what your gift is and you
Yeah.
lock into that.
Yes.
You came up and sang one night. It was at Red Square. I remember everything at Red Square because that was
Yeah,
my
that was your
spot,
stuff.
right? Right. And I think I can't remember who I had in the VIP area that night. I don't know if it was Teddy Riley or if it was Raphael Sadiq or Vest. It was someone. I had people in the VIP area that night. And you got up to sing, and I don't remember what it was, but you hit some note, and I'm talking to people, and I was like, "Yeah, so y'all." I was like, hold on. And I was like, and I was telling the people, I was like, I've been knowing this girl since she was a little girl. I'm like, shh. I just never forget that. The other thing I want to ask you about, you mentioned when you got to LA, everyone promised, I can do this, I can do
Yeah.
that. I know this person. I talk about that a lot. How did you manage that, navigate through it? How did you process that when they were letdowns?
I think for me, again, like I had a different experience because I had, my mom and my stepfather that were leading the charge on that end. So it's like I didn't really deal with the business side of things.
It didn't hit you so hard directly.
Yeah, no, yeah. And so for me, it was something was in the works, or this person had a conversation with this person, and then it wouldn't happen, and so they would have disappointing moments for sure because I'm a big empath, right? So I
Oh,
sense people's
you
energy.
really are my little sister, I tell you.
Right? Their spirit and all of that. And so like I would always like be in spaces, but also just paying attention and just like looking at people and like their energy. And I feel like for me being a woman, I saw some of the snakiness in there, even the way that
Yeah.
they talked and what they would say and why they would want me, you know what I'm saying? Because some of it was attraction, a
One
lot of
hundred
it
percent.
sometimes was attraction,
One
because I
hundred
was
percent.
definitely older, looking older than I was. And so I would see like, get in private spaces, not like private because like, they wouldn't allow that.
Right.
But if it's like a studio or something like that, I'll be in there and there's a little flirtation going on, and it's kind of like asking me questions that have nothing to do with music, and I'm just kind of
Right.
like, um,
Right.
okay.
Right.
And so kind of just figure out and learning because I am an observer. So I'm always learning as I'm experiencing. I'm not someone
Absolutely.
who's just like aimlessly walking around, like paying attention,
Absolutely.
listening to the conversations, asking as many questions as you can so that you're actually getting understanding and not just letting people do the work for you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So for me, I'm like, I just started to learn a lot. And a lot of it, I think maybe because I didn't have this super duper aspiration to just be Beyonce, that it kept me level headed. Like it just kept me
I
humble.
swear, it's like we got the same story. It's
It's crazy.
crazy.
I
That is
realized
so
it.
crazy.
But yeah, like for me, I felt like it kept me level headed, it kept me humble. I never expected anything. I never assumed something was supposed to be mine. I was just so honored to
Unbelievable.
be in this space.
Unbelievable. This is so crazy. I didn't even know.
Right?
But if you talk to anyone who knows me, I look at any of my past videos, I say all the time, I never had a desire to be a star or to be famous. So it completely took away all the power to dangle things over my head because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to.
I don't care. I don't care
I'm
enough.
good.
Like I don't care.
I could care less, right? It just takes all the power away from it. It gives you the
It's so
power.
true. And it's funny because Now I'm thinking about that. Like, I think that was also a part of the frustration of my mom and stepfather, because they were like, "We want, come on, like we
We
want you,"
want
you
you to
know.
want.
And I'm just like, I just don't, guys. Like, I just don't care.
And isn't it funny though? Isn't it funny though? The less you desire it, the more God puts you in the
A
spaces.
thousand percent.
Is that crazy?
It really is wild. Like, I do talk about that. Like, what is meant for you is going to be for you. You know
It
what I mean? No
is.
matter what.
It is.
And if you're called, you're called. And he's going to navigate your life, your career into the
Absolutely.
places it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, my gift, that whole thing, your gift will make room for you. I feel like really that is my story. My gift is what made the room. It wasn't me.
Absolutely.
You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. And your
it
heart. You know, there's another thing. Seek ye first the kingdom and all his righteousness and all his other things be added to you. Just the heart. You know, if your heart is in the right space,
is,
it's amazing. God will lead you right into the big things that you do. You know, who in the world would have ever thought this little dude from Chattanooga would be traveling with Michael Jackson?
yeah.
Singing.
Yeah.
Everything was weird about that. I'm like, wait, what? I'm looking at everything that's happening in the music world today, all this craziness and the chaos that's going on. And
Chaos.
I'm like, some of us that I know personally, we've been right in the middle of this and we've maintained our integrity. What
Yes.
a blessing, what a protection.
Yes.
I was watching one of your posts the other day and you mentioned something that I've mentioned for years. It's an urgency to sign a contract or
Yes.
whatever. Yeah.
Manipulation.
Manipulation.
Yeah.
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 I talked about that for years. I'm like, you just met me like 3 days
Literally.
ago. You just met me 3 days ago. Why is it,
You're love bombing me creatively.
you know what I'm saying? Now it's just got to go down right now, you know? Well, sometimes when people try to pressure me,
Yeah.
I put them in a lose lose situation. I'll say, you know what? Give me a night to pray on that.
Perfect.
Give me a night to
Put
pray
it
on that.
on him. Put it on
Put
God.
it on him. Because the moment that they go, you don't need to pray about it. Okay, I don't need to work with you. That's what, what you got
Correct.
to pray for it for? I'm like, there you go. That's what I needed to hear.
1000%.
Or,
Yeah.
or they just go, okay, can't fight with that one. All right.
Yes.
Who was the first major artist you worked with?
Lauren Hill. That was my first tour, first artist. Oh my
Started
God.
little. You started with a dang.
No, it's not Michael or Janet. So let's go there.
Dang. Lauren Hill, huh?
Yeah, so this was actually back when they used to do open calls still, because that is like a lost art to a certain extent. But yeah, my girlfriend, Belle Johnson, she called me.
Oh, I
And
love Bill.
she's been in the game for a long time too. But she called me and she was just like, "Hey, they're auditioning for Lauryn Hill." And we just always, me and her would always do things like that. Like, so she called me for it, and I just, showed up to the audition, and it was the lines.
Man.
And yeah, we just went through the process, and we were told, like, don't look at her eyes, and
So
she,
that really is a thing. I've heard that.
yeah, it was like, all the preparation. Her name is Miss Hill, not Lauren Hill. That's how you address her. And again, going back to what we just said, because my natural resolve is, okay,
Yeah.
like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm not moved easily by anything, like
Right.
anything.
Right.
So it's
Right.
like, I'm not easily offended. I'm not easily like, the idea of you're supposed to get something, like this expectation. Like, I don't have
Oh
that.
yeah.
Also, deeply rooted in faith, right? I always felt what was for me is for me. So, in whatever scenario I'm in, it is what it is. So,
Right.
I didn't mind going through the line. I didn't mind going through all the loopholes
Right.
and all the things for it. And so I just went through the process, and
Yeah.
it just kept getting narrowed down, narrowed down. They put us in groups, like, they put us different, sing alto, soprano, tenor. They wanted all females. And so it just got narrowed down, and it just ended up being a group of us. And we got into the room with her by herself, with her and a guitar. And she was like, sing this. And then she took two people out the room. You stay, bring two of these people in the room, like, so it was
Yeah.
this, like,
Yeah.
you know, and the wild story. So we were told, the last three of us, it was me and two sisters,
Okay.
and they were like, okay, well, the next step is you're going to go to the rehearsals. The band had already been in rehearsals. They were just trying to find singers. So we showed up to the rehearsals, and they were like, here's the songs. And I want to say the rehearsal was like the next day. Here
Okay.
are like the songs, and if you can get these together and if he likes you, by the end of the rehearsal, we leave for a tour that next morning.
Oh my goodness.
It was that scenario, right? And so we showed up, crashed it, crash course the learning,
Yeah.
and yeah, by the end of that day, we ended that rehearsal, I believe, at like 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
Super late for it
Mm-hmm.
to
What time did
go.
you start?
I think it was like early, like probably like early afternoon, but I
Yeah.
think we got there earlier because we had to learn, the singers. So learned the music. And so by the end of the night, she was like, and first of all, she just left and she didn't say nothing to us. Right after the rehearsal, she just left. So we was like, okay, so what's going on? Tour manager was like, you guys are gonna go. She likes you.
Oh, nice.
So we leave at 6 a.m. Flight is at 6 a.m. at LAX. And so had to go home. I was like, okay, pack my whole life up to go to tour, and showed up at the airport. I was like, I was in line,
Mm-hmm.
found out two sisters said, oh, we're not going to go. This is too last minute. Can't do it.
They backed out the last minute.
So it was just me.
You
It was just me.
you
And
were
I
the
was just
background singer.
I was the background singer. And so again, my natural way is just very much like, okay, so like what happens now? I'm not
Let's
really
go.
moved, but like, do I stay? Do I go? And they're like, okay, so yeah, just get on the plane. We're gonna, first tour stop was Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
And the band was from Oakland. Got there, I was like, okay, so what's gonna happen? Apparently they're scrambling to find singers.
Of
Because
course.
the show was that night. Two
Gotcha.
shows that night. So we
Mm-hmm.
get there, they have two singers at sound check. We go through the songs with Lauren, and she was like, absolutely not. Hate them. No. So she fired them. This is crazy, right? And then it's just me again. And then this is like maybe like 4 hours before the show.
Oh boy.
And so people were in line at this time, and they found two people in line that were known in Oakland to be amazing singers. And guess who it was?
Okay, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Oakland, was it Monet?
No.
Okay, Oakland. I don't know. Who was it?
Lettucey.
What is wrong with me? Why didn't I think Lettucey in Oakland?
Lettucey. It was Lettucey and her girlfriend that were there to see the show. But I guess
So was her girlfriend's name Nikki Caldwell?
I don't remember her name.
Okay.
They
They
were
knew they had one with Lettucey. They was like, she'll hold it down.
yeah.
Let's take a minute to bring this in. Your first tour was with Lauryn Hill singing background with Lettucey. Okay, we can keep going now.
But she wasn't Lettucey at the time. She wasn't the Lettucey we know at the time.
Got
It
you.
was like 2004.
Yeah, yeah, but it was in
So
there.
she was known like in her city, but she, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, worldwide it wasn't a thing
Right,
yet.
right,
So
right.
so she had me teach them the songs. She was like, Sharon, teach them the songs. And I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 hours before the
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Great. So taught them the songs. They learned it, everything. We did the first show.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, great, that was fun.
See ya.
So second show, we had two shows that night. And it
Jeez,
was just me by myself.
they couldn't even come back and do the second show. Doggone
They
it.
said, no, we're not doing the second show.
It's like we just came to hang out. We didn't even know we were gonna be doing
Literally.
this.
Yeah. So that was my first experience. But with that being said, it built a trust between me and Lauren.
Listen, I was just about to say
Yeah.
it had to have developed some type of a level of respect, appreciation
For
from Lauren
sure.
that, you know what, she's the foundation for me right now.
For sure.
That's how I was with Vesta.
Yeah. See, it's like it for me, like you're just naturally taught these are things you do, these are the things you don't do. So I was blessed in that regard.
Yes.
So when it comes to like my relationship with my boss, it was never like I'm overstepping boundaries and I feel like you let me in, so I'm over here. So we're best friends now and doing the most. I've always been very
Sharon,
conscious.
you are killing me right now. I love this. I promise you. I can't wait till some of my close friends see this. They're gonna be like, Did you
I know,
tell
right?
her to say I love this?
I didn't realize how similar we were.
I didn't either. This is amazing. That's beautiful stuff. I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing because you got it. You absolutely got it. You got
I
it.
appreciate that. It means
Yeah.
a lot. Like because I'm super passionate about it. I think that for me, I realize everything that we experience, no matter if we think it's minuscule or not, is going to play a part in some area of your life. And I
Man.
feel like I was being trained in so many different ways, even as a
Yeah.
background singer, right? So, like, I didn't even know that was a career, you know what I'm saying, until
Right.
it was my career.
Right.
And
Right.
and then I was just like, okay, this is actually this is a thing, right? But I pulled on the fact that I was in choir for so many
Right.
years, right? So my ear
Yes.
was already tuned to understanding
Yes.
harmony and knowing
Yes.
my part, right? So like
Yes.
it all played into who I became,
What in the world?
you know?
This is beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah. So for me, I
Absolutely.
was just like, I took those moments and I really I just like, again, I not only experienced it, but I was learning at the same time and like taking notes of what to do, what
What
not to
not to
do
do.
as well. Because that tour was wild. Okay.
I
I
know.
can't get into all this. I mean, I could, but it's going to take too long. But the
Yeah.
stories of that tour was just wild.
I can imagine. So, Lauren Hill, tell me what happened up to that. How did you go from that to
Yeah.
where you are today?
When you do your first tour, your first gig, people start to be like, oh, Sharon,
She's
you know
reliable.
what I mean?
She's
She's
good.
reliable, she's professional, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's not a lot of really good sopranos. So then I started just getting a lot more calls and for studio stuff and doing albums. And I want to say I think the first album that I did for an artist was Kelly Clarkson's. This is right when she won American Idol.
Mm-hmm.
So A Moment Like This album,
Right.
which was her huge,
Yes.
album. So I did bunch of songs on that, then I learned about SAG. Now it's SAG after, but it was after at the time.
That's right. That's right.
But how important that was, and how
Mm-hmm.
they're advocates for you, and
Mm-hmm.
residual money, learning like just
Yeah.
so many things start to learn. But
Mm-hmm.
I just started to get my name out there.
Not many people address that or even have the proper knowledge. There's a young lady been in the game for a long time. Her name is Tracy Nelson. You know Tracy Nelson?
I don't think so.
Tracy was the one who schooled us on all of that. Every time we have sessions, she'd be like, "Give me the paperwork. Just give me the paperwork."
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? For people who don't know, can you just give us a brief rundown of what After SAG is? And it's a singers union after American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. Tell them what that is, what the benefits are, and briefly, just so because you
So
can.
yeah, right. So they benefit us.
Hmm.
The singer who they do albums. If you're on a record with an artist and they're doing a single or an album and they're going through the record company, because not every scenario is the same, right?
Right.
So it's only if they are a part of they have an agreement or arrangement with SAG-AFTRA to do everything
Hmm.
and funnel everything through them. And you usually have to have a certain amount of, I'm sure I don't know what they're called, credits, unless you get Taft-Hartley.
Taft Hartley, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
so Taft-Hartley is if you have somebody who pretty much vouches for you and they
Hmm.
can sign off on you being a part of a session.
Right.
I was Taft-Hartley for a long time. I was
You
Taft-Hartley.
Taft Hartley as long as you can Taft Hartley, don't you? I
For
know I
for
did.
sure, for sure.
Hmm.
Until they're like, okay, you got enough credits. Go ahead
Like,
and sign up. You know what I mean? Pay these dues.
exactly. Yeah,
But you
we've
pay them.
given you a few. Now it's
Yeah,
time for you to pay back in.
okay.
Hmm.
Which is a nuisance. But at the end of the day, it's also a benefit because they are advocating for you. They're
Yeah.
looking for your money. I remember I did a TV show, The Wonder Years, the reboot of The Wonder Years, and
Hmm.
I was on, I think, three of the songs for three different episodes. And I got paid initially,
Hmm.
but realized that didn't get any residuals for it. I'm like, this is
Right.
bizarre, right? This is national TV.
Absolutely.
Gets my residuals, right?
Hmm.
And when it wasn't coming, I had to call SAG-AFTRA, have them
Hmm.
make a claim for you, and they go after the TV studios. They go after the record companies. They're
Right.
doing the groundwork to get your
Hmm.
money.
Absolutely.
And then they also hold you at a standard as far as rate wise. Like there's only a minimum somebody can then pay you, when you're doing
Absolutely.
these types of sessions. And,
Mm-hmm.
it gets very layered when you're doing session work. If you're doing, top line, if you're
Yeah,
doing choir stuff, if it's one singer versus if there's 20 singers,
that's right. That's
So
right.
they have guidelines that people have to follow so that people are getting fair treatment and
True.
fair compensation.
Very
Yes,
good.
sir.
Mary J. Blige. You were with Mary a long time.
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah, so a call.
Wow.
I want to say every single opportunity that I've had in this industry was faced on a call.
I love it.
Somebody
I
said
love it.
either, "Oh, I heard about you from this," or "I saw you performing at this," or a friend of mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
heard about this audition," or "They're looking for this. I'm going to submit you for this." Like that's why I try to stress as much as possible how important community is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's literally the baseline for a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely.
And so how you treat people matters.
Absolutely.
How you show up to a space in your professionalism matters. And they asked me to send in a video,
Mm-hmm.
and that was it. Like, that was it.
Love it. 12 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
So I think she liked you a little bit.
Yeah, very similar to the Lauryn Hill experience. Like, we just had a very special relationship. She believed in me from day one. Like,
Yeah.
also, her being spiritually minded as well.
Mm-hmm.
She was attracted to my anointed. She would always say it over and over again, like, "You're just anointed, you're anointed." There was a season where she wanted to sign me to her record label, even. She's always rooting for me. Like, "You need to be doing more. You need to be doing," she was always pushing
Yeah.
me. She's just very supportive as a boss.
So, what about that? Why haven't we seen a Sharon Youngblood
Oh,
CD album project?
the infamous question.
Of course. Absolutely. You knew it was coming.
My goodness. This is such a complex thing. Okay. Um, because eventually I did get the desire to be an artist, but because of what I said in the beginning about me not being your atypical Black R&B singer for years and years, like, I was just kind of put in a box, right? And so the people that I would run into were also in that box, like, "Oh, I'm just going to give you R&B beats and stuff like that,"
Gotcha.
right? So for me, it was like I just never felt like I found my person, my team, who can really like help me express myself musically. They were like, "Well, what is your idea of what you want to sound like?" And my explanation, they would be like, "What?"
Wow.
And I'm just
Yeah.
like, "I don't know what to say. Like, this is how I'm feeling, And then Adele comes out, and I'm just like,
That, uh, I was about to be, see, that, but better. No, it's kidding.
I was,
That with better vocals.
wasn't gonna say that, but no. I mean, like, I felt like finally, God, like, this is a perfect example of like how you can have a classic style voice but
Yeah.
still make it modern. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
good music is good music, period. And
Yeah.
I felt like people always wanted to follow the trend
Yeah. Yeah.
of
Yeah.
what is happening right now. And I feel like, and I'm gonna say this, I feel like the only people that are given opportunities to express themselves and explore broader than the boxes are white people, are people of other cultures. And
Come on.
so, yes, she's allowed to do the kind of music that she does and it be
Yes.
okay.
What's the fact?
And so for me, I've never found that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I hate to say this, and I don't want this to sound weird, and I don't even care the ethnicity, but it's just like I always imagine myself like a white boy with a guitar, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
or a Black person who's just like broad in his musical palette that can help me like narrow down my sound. I haven't had it. I haven't experienced it yet. And it's been one of the most frustrating things for me because I do have, and I'm a songwriter. So like I have released a song here and
Mm-hmm.
there. I've done a few
Mm-hmm.
covers and stuff like that. And so that's one side. And then I'm gonna talk
I
about the
get
other
you.
side. Self-sabotage. Okay. Is this good enough? Am I
Uh-huh.
good enough?
Thank you for tuning in to SANGAHZ The Podcast with me, Romeo Johnson, where we celebrate extraordinary singers and learn from industry veterans.